I first came across Norman Foster's work when I was studying Buckminster Fuller. I was interested in the sort of visionary work of Buckminster Fuller, and I was interested in the engineering based on a different type of modernity, a different type of utopia. And I could see that among the younger people working with Buckminster Fuller, there was Norman Foster, Richard Rogers, and there was a whole group of people who came out of similar areas. That's actually where I think I saw the first book by Norman Foster, and that was on his on his very high-tech work from the 70s. I believe the engineering inspired sort of buildings and so on. I worked with Norman on a number of occasions as an artist who do something that intervenes, sort of intervention in his architecture. And I think Norman has a lot of decentralizing of the authorship of the details. I think there's a lot of sort of sensitivity towards somebody feeling very responsible for something very granular. And he, in that sense, is interested in the overall sort of concept. And in that sense, it's relatively easy because he's not very controlling. Working with Norman is always a healthy balance between how are we going to do this? How is this working? Well, is it even possible? Feasibility and engineering. But it's also like, why are we doing this? Why on earth? And I think that it is, in his case, I think, more important that you know why you're doing it than how. Because how we will always sort out. We'll get specialist scientists, somebody who will sort out how to do things. But if we don't know why, then there's no point in trying to find out how. For the entry space of the Bloomberg building in London, Norman had made a very dramatic sort of spinning or vortex, or so a space that seems to be on the flux, like either opening up or closing down or on the move for sure. It still was very earthy and soft. So I had to look at the artwork from above looking down and from down looking up. So I took upon this notion of fluidity or the sort of dynamic quality of the space and made something that is equivalent of water or frozen water or water which was milled out in aluminum and the same waves on below as above. I think the project also is about a mirror, and you see yourself when you walk through that space. If you look up, you see your body sort of reflected in the water. Of course, like kind of, it's not a mirror because it's waves, but you see your wobbly body sort of walking through, and it sort of dissolves you a little bit. And I find that quite interesting, going through that very space, dynamic space. The idea of the body being, dynamically sort of adjusted or pulled apart or put together was I think, a nice gesture.